Dear Chosen One, before we begin, I want to take a sacred moment to say this from the deepest part of my spirit. Thank you to every soul who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your gift does more than you know. It helps amplify this truth and send it out to other chosen ones who are still searching, still awakening, still trying to understand what their spirit has been sensing all along. You are part of that divine ripple, and if you haven't donated, please hear this clearly. Your presence, your energy, and your engagement are already a gift. Whether you give or simply watch, you are valued beyond words. You are part of this unfolding. Now, beloved, what if the very thing you've been consuming in your daily routine, what seems harmless, even normal to others, is quietly dismantling your divine connection? What if the fatigue you feel, the intuitive blocks you face, and the spiritual stagnation you can't explain are all rooted in what you're placing on your plate? While others can eat without consequence, you, because of who you are, carry a different design. And your body, this sacred temple, is sounding an alarm. You felt it, that strange unease after certain meals, that sensation in your chest that something isn't sitting right, that fogginess in your thoughts, even when your spirit is strong. These aren't random. They are divine warnings, urgent spiritual messages spoken in the language of your biology. Your system is rejecting what the world has normalized. And yet, most people around you don't understand. Why should they? These foods weren't made to hinder them. They were made to target you. You, the chosen. You, the vibrationally rare. You, the one marked by heaven for something greater. While others can digest these substances with no noticeable effect, your system, finely attuned to divine frequency, registers these modern foods as a threat, not just to your health, but to your mission. What I am about to share with you is more than knowledge. It's a key to your spiritual liberation. This message has been kept hidden by forces far older and far more deceptive than you've ever imagined. Not just governments or industries, but ancient systems built to suppress the awakening of those like you. And the most subtle, most overlooked weapon in this war is food. Food that doesn't just feed the body, but binds the soul. You're not here by accident. This isn't just another video. This is a divine appointment. And if something in your soul is vibrating with the words you're hearing, then I ask you now, pause. Write 999 in the comments. That number is more than a signal. It's a declaration, a spiritual code that says, I'm ready. Now, take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Feel the resonance in your chest, that gentle hum. That's not just emotion, that's recognition. You've been waiting for this message, maybe your whole life. The signs have always been there, in your dreams, in the numbers, in that voice that whispered, there's more. This is the more. This is the revelation. And what you're about to learn next will forever alter your relationship with food, frequency, and your divine identity. God's chosen ones, you can't eat everything. Beware. Chosen one, do you truly know why your body has been under attack for generations? Why you can't seem to eat what everyone else eats without paying a spiritual price? The story I'm about to reveal stretches far beyond the boundaries of modern history. It reaches into the ancient beginnings of Earth's sacred timeline, when the earliest chosen ones walked in complete alignment with their divine assignments. These weren't mythological beings or distant fables. They were real, powerful, radiant souls, just like you, who understood the undeniable truth. Your body is not just a body. It is a sacred container for holy fire. They didn't eat for pleasure or convenience. They ate with intention. Every herb, every grain, every drop of water was part of a spiritual equation designed to preserve divine harmony. These chosen vessels were capable of healing the sick with a touch, speaking the future with clarity, and manifesting the impossible, not because they were supernatural, but because they were in energetic alignment. Their physical bodies had become clear channels for God's presence because they guarded what they consumed. The Bible reminds us of this sacred principle. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? 1 Corinthians 3:16. If your body is the temple, then what enters it, through your mouth, through your senses, either consecrates or corrupts. Have you ever wondered why some foods leave you feeling heavy, disconnected, even anxious, while others seem to awaken clarity and lightness in your soul? Now ask yourself, why does the modern world aggressively promote food filled with chemicals, addictive substances, and genetically altered ingredients? Why is it so difficult for the chosen ones to eat what everyone else eats and feel okay? The answer is unsettling but simple. Because you were never designed to consume what the masses consume. Your DNA is encoded with something different. Your body is spiritually coded to react against energetic corruption. And let's go deeper. Over centuries, dark forces, those who feared the rise of God's chosen ones, began altering the food supply. At first, this was done through ancient rituals and unholy offerings meant to sever the energetic link between heaven and the human vessel. Later, with the rise of industrial agriculture, lab-modified substances, and artificial food-like products, the agenda shifted from spiritual deception to bioenergetic sabotage. Have you noticed how hard it is to find truly clean, untampered food today? That's not coincidence. That's by design. What began as a spiritual battle has evolved into a war on your biology. And the target isn't just your physical health, it's your spiritual frequency. Consider the prophet Daniel. When taken into Babylonian captivity, he refused to defile himself with the king's food. He requested vegetables and clean water, and God honored his discipline. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine. Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Daniel 1:8-12. After 10 days, Daniel and his companions were not only healthier than the others, but spiritually sharper, able to interpret dreams, receive visions, and operate in supernatural wisdom. Now reflect on this. If Daniel had submitted to corrupted food, would he have carried the clarity needed to influence an entire empire? What about you, chosen one? Are you protecting your clarity or surrendering it for momentary taste? Even in our modern era, this wisdom has been echoed by great minds. Take Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant inventors in history. He followed an unusually restricted diet, often abstaining from meat and emphasizing high-vibration foods. He believed his innovations were channeled through a higher frequency, and he guarded that frequency fiercely. Then there's Angela Bassett, whose spiritual and physical discipline is well known in Hollywood. She credits clean eating and fasting not just for her physical wellness, but for the spiritual strength and clarity she carries into every role. And look at Bruce Lee, who followed a strict food regimen, avoiding processed food and emphasizing water, fruit, and vegetables, understanding intuitively that his strength and mental clarity came from what he allowed into his body. The chosen ones throughout history all had this in common. They knew the war wasn't just spiritual, it was nutritional, chemical, energetic. Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Do you eat to glorify your mission, or are you unconsciously weakening your vessel? The enemy doesn't need to destroy you if he can dull you. He doesn't need to block your gifts if he can fog your discernment through sugar addiction, caffeine dependency, and hormone-disrupting chemicals. If your mind is foggy, your emotions unstable, your body inflamed, how will you interpret divine instruction? How will you move when God tells you, now go? The time to awaken is now. The battlefield isn't just in your mind or your relationships, it's in your pantry, in your morning coffee, in your late-night cravings. The foods you allow in are either feeding the holy flame or putting it out. Beloved, I pray that in every way you may prosper and enjoy good health, even as your soul also prospers. 3 John 1:2. The health of your soul is tied to the choices you make with your physical vessel. Chosen one, have you ever felt a pull so ancient it couldn't be explained by memory, only by soul? Have you ever walked past ruins, read sacred texts, or heard old chants and felt something stir inside of you? Something older than your current life? That's not imagination. That's not romantic nostalgia. That's the call of your spiritual DNA, awakening. It remembers what your mind cannot. It remembers an era when you walked in power, when the chosen lived without distortion, when your food, your frequency, and your purpose were all aligned. Why does something inside you ache for more clarity, more peace, more alignment? Because your soul knows this isn't your first time on earth. It has tasted the divine before, and now it longs to return, not to a place, but to a state of being. The chosen ones of the past didn't rely on technology or validation to access power. They were the technology. Their bodies were instruments of divine intelligence. Their food wasn't just nourishment, it was sacred fuel. Every bite they consumed kept their energetic lines open, their spiritual receptors active, and their connection to God uninterrupted. The Bible affirms this cellular memory. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you. Jeremiah 1:5. Your calling didn't begin at birth. It was planted into the marrow of your being long before your first breath. That divine imprint still exists in your cells. It just needs to be activated. In over 20 years of global spiritual research, I've sat with prophets in the mountains of Ethiopia, healers in the jungles of Peru, and mystics in the deserts of the Middle East. And I've observed the same pattern repeated among the chosen. When they purify their diet, their divine powers awaken, not slowly, not over decades, but sometimes in days. Have you ever wondered what gifts you haven't even touched yet because your frequency is being suppressed by what you're consuming? There was a woman named Miriam, a gentle soul with a powerful call. For years she prayed, meditated, fasted, yet still felt blocked. Her intuition was murky, manifestation was hit or miss. But when she removed just 2 specific inflammatory foods from her diet for only 14 days, something radical happened. Visions began flooding her dreams. Voices, clear, sacred, divine, began speaking to her. She began writing with accuracy, guiding others with revelations she once thought she'd never access. Today, Miriam is a respected spiritual mentor whose visions have redirected entire communities. This isn't magic. This is biology in spiritual alignment. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Everything you consume either sharpens or sabotages your sacred function. Another story, Raphael. For most of his life, he walked through the world feeling attacked, drained, spiritually mugged. He couldn't enter certain buildings without feeling dizzy. He'd come home exhausted from merely being around people. Sound familiar? You might be experiencing the same thing, thinking it's anxiety or oversensitivity. But in truth, it's energetic sensitivity that hasn't yet been shielded. After committing to a chosen one's dietary protocol, removing heavy, toxic, spiritually distorting foods, Raphael didn't just feel better. He became immune to psychic vampirism. His aura grew so strong that low vibrations couldn't even enter his field. He didn't just survive hostile spaces, he transformed them. His body became a temple so pure that darkness had no access point. That's what happens when the chosen cleanse the temple. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God. 1 Corinthians 6:19. You're not just healing your health, you're restoring your sacred access. Now pause and consider this. What if the reason you can't clearly hear divine guidance, or why your gifts feel dormant, is because your internal channel is clogged? Think of your spirit as a radio receiver. The divine is always broadcasting, but if your body is filled with static, chemicals, sugars, processed additives, you won't receive the message. You'll hear distortion instead of direction. What if the anxiety you feel isn't emotional but nutritional? What if the spiritual numbness you're experiencing is actually energetic inflammation caused by what's on your plate? Even in modern society, certain individuals have cracked the code. Venus Williams, world-class athlete, was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition that threatened her career. She switched to a raw, plant-based diet and experienced not just physical healing, but a revival of her vitality and focus. Jaden Smith, after experiencing serious health setbacks from poor vegan transitions, refined his diet to include high-vibration superfoods, and not only regained his strength but started building his own health-conscious empire. Gisele Bündchen, one of the most iconic supermodels of our time, credits her spiritual clarity and emotional balance to a clean, alkaline-based diet focused on divine alignment, not industry trends. The real power doesn't come from what you consume, it comes from what you eliminate. Let your moderation be known unto all men. The Lord is at hand. Philippians 4:5. Discipline is not punishment. It is the bridge between your current state and your God-assigned destiny. So, chosen one, ask yourself, what gifts lie dormant in you because you've unknowingly silenced them with sugar, dairy, processed meat, or stimulants? What spiritual signals are being missed because your antenna is cluttered? You weren't called to live in survival mode. You were called to operate in precision, protection, and prophetic clarity. Your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a compass, but that compass can't guide you through static. Let today be the day you make a decision, not out of fear, but out of sacred remembrance. You are not becoming someone new, you are returning to who you truly are, and that return begins on your plate. Chosen one, what if the very thing you consume in a single moment can block your divine downloads for 3 entire days? What if one small bite, one careless sip, isn't just a physical indulgence, but an invisible shutdown of the communication line between your mind and heaven? We are entering sacred territory now. What I'm about to share has been deliberately hidden for generations, not just from the public, but especially from you. Because if the world understood what I'm about to reveal, the systems of control would crumble overnight. This isn't just nutritional advice, this is spiritual warfare in disguise. Sensitive individuals, empaths, intuitives, energy healers, seers, have long reported something strange happening to them after consuming certain common additives found in processed foods. These aren't random reactions. They are consistent, repeatable, and have been observed across cultures, continents, and faiths. One of the most chilling observations is this. After consuming these specific additives, a noticeable distortion appears in their aura. Not faint, not symbolic, literal, dark, opaque clouds, visible to those with energetic sight, gathering particularly around the third eye and crown chakras. Now let me ask you, have you ever experienced an unexplainable fogginess of mind, a sudden loss of connection to your inner knowing, or a drop in your spiritual sensitivity, right after eating something you didn't question at the time? These spiritual blackouts aren't accidental. They are the result of energy sabotage. These dark patches in your aura can remain for up to 72 hours after just one exposure, blocking your access to divine wisdom, neutralizing your intuition, and even severing your spiritual protection during that window. The Bible foreshadowed this kind of targeted spiritual interference long ago. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. 1 Peter 5:8. The devil isn't just waiting in the shadows, he's in the labeling of your snacks. He's hiding in ingredients you can't pronounce but casually consume. While others might feel fine, you are the one he seeks, because you carry something the darkness fears. Modern technology has now begun catching up to what the spirit realm has long known. Researchers using Kirlian photography, a technique that captures the energetic field around living organisms, have discovered something disturbing. Certain food additives produce drastically different energetic reactions in different people. The average individual, without spiritual gifts or deep inner work, may experience mild disturbances after ingesting these substances. A small dip in energy, maybe a bit of moodiness, but nothing major. However, the elect, the chosen ones, those spiritually awakened or awakening, exhibit profound disruptions in their energetic field, cracks in the auric body, fragmentation of energy, loss of vibrational cohesion. In many cases, the signature pattern mimics someone undergoing spiritual attack, even though the source was just food. Now you tell me, what kind of system allows this to happen? And more importantly, what kind of spirit is behind it? The answer is terrifying and liberating at once. These substances are not just bad for you, they are engineered to suppress you. While the world is told it's about flavor, shelf life, or cost efficiency, the deeper truth is far more sinister. The chosen ones react more severely because their frequency is higher, their energy is more refined, their internal system is like a symphony, and these additives are like slamming a discordant note through the middle of a sacred song. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. Isaiah 5:20. They told you it was safe. They told you it was normal. But chosen one, you were never meant to be normal. Take a moment and reflect. When was the last time you felt completely spiritually clear, focused and attuned? Did that moment happen after processed food? Or was it during a fast, a time of clean eating, or after drinking pure water and spending time in prayer? This isn't coincidence. This is code. Look at the lives of deeply spiritual modern individuals who faced similar energetic challenges. India Ari, the Grammy-winning soul singer, shared publicly about her spiritual transformation after removing certain additives and processed foods from her diet. She began hearing divine instruction more clearly, writing music that channeled higher wisdom, and her very essence changed. She was no longer just performing, she was transmitting. Then there's Keanu Reeves, known not only for his acting but his deeply spiritual nature and minimalist lifestyle. He has long avoided processed foods, not just for health reasons, but because of how it affects his emotional and mental clarity. His colleagues report that his presence shifts the energy of every room he enters. This is what happens when the chosen protect their frequency. And finally, Yvonne Orji, the actress and comedian who openly credits her spiritual discipline, clean living, and consecrated lifestyle for her success and inner peace. She abstains from alcohol, processed sugars, and harmful ingredients not because of legalism, but because she's protecting something sacred within her. Like you, she knows the price of clarity is vigilance. So then, let us not be like others who are asleep, but let us be awake and sober. 1 Thessalonians 5:6. You can't afford to live like the world. You weren't built like them. Your spirit is too alert, your calling is too loud, and the margin for error is too narrow. Here's what they don't want you to know. Some of these additives have occult origins. Yes, occult, symbolically charged, energetically manipulated, designed not just for taste, but for frequency suppression. They weaken your shield. They open doorways. They make you more suggestible, less discerning, more programmable. Imagine trying to download God's instructions while someone plays static at full volume. That's what happens every time these additives enter your bloodstream. You don't lose the signal, but it gets scrambled, delayed, distorted. What should have been a clear "go left" becomes silence. What should have been "wait" becomes confusion. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Matthew 6:22. If your perception is blocked, if your third eye is clouded, if your crown chakra is shut down, how can you discern the path? How will you hear the whisper when it's time to move? This is why so many chosen ones feel lost, anxious, overwhelmed, not because they're failing, but because they're being interfered with, spiritually, biologically, energetically. So let's bring this home. Have you ever eaten something and immediately felt regret, not because of calories or health, but because something inside you felt off? Your prayers felt weaker, your thoughts fuzzier, your dreams clouded, your emotions fragile. That's not random. That's not your imagination. That's sabotage. But here's the good news. The moment you become aware, the war begins to shift. Awareness is the first form of protection. Purity is your greatest weapon. You don't need to become perfect overnight, but you must start paying attention. Start asking, what am I eating? Who made it? Why is it in this form? What is it doing to my frequency? And then move boldly toward the truth. Clean your temple. Strengthen your shield. Fast when you're led. Pray over every bite. Research your ingredients. Trust the signals of your body. You are not like them, and you were never supposed to eat like them. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Let your renewal begin with what you consume, not just in thought, but in fuel. Chosen one, you've come too far to be taken down by a snack. You've survived betrayal, spiritual warfare, isolation, ridicule, and temptation. Don't let your downfall come in the form of flavor-enhanced deception. Not now. Not when your gifts are awakening. Not when God is preparing to pour something into you that requires you to be a clear, steady, unshakable vessel. It starts with one choice, one meal, one decision to treat your body like the divine sanctuary it is. Let them laugh. Let them mock your weird eating habits. They laughed at Noah too, until the rain came. But you are preparing for rain. You are building the ark. You are clearing your channels. You are tuning your antenna. You are preparing for transmission. And when the downloads start, when the dreams return, when the visions sharpen, you'll know why it mattered. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why your heart sometimes feels heavy for no reason, or why moments of deep clarity seem to vanish after a certain meal? The answer may not lie in your schedule, your stress levels, or even your prayers. It may lie hidden in your food, specifically in the vibration of what you've consumed. One of the most devastating energetic blockages that afflict the chosen arises not from chemicals or artificial substances, but from something more ancient and deeply entangled with the soul, the consumption of meat from animals raised in fear, isolation, and suffering. This is not just a matter of diet or ethics or even health. This is a matter of energy transfer. You see, when animals live in confined spaces, treated not as living beings but as products, their bodies become saturated with vibrations of terror, grief, anxiety, and despair. Every moment of their short, tormented lives imprints that energy into their cells. So when their flesh is consumed, that energy doesn't just disappear. It enters you, it becomes part of you. You aren't just taking in protein, you are absorbing frequencies of pain, frequencies that were never meant to dwell within a vessel of divine light like yours. The Bible speaks directly to this energetic principle. although many have read the words and missed the depth of their implication. But Daniel resolved that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine that he drank. Daniel 1:8. Daniel didn't refuse the king's delicacies because they were merely impure by religious law. He knew that what he consumed would alter his energy, his clarity, and his ability to receive divine revelation. You, chosen one, must understand the same truth. Your calling is too high, your purpose too exact, for you to be careless about what you allow into your sacred system. Because your energy body is more open, more porous, and more responsive than the average person's, the impact of consuming low-frequency meat is multiplied within you. These energies don't just pass through, they stick. They gather at specific energetic centers, especially the solar plexus and heart chakra. These two centers are not random. They are the hubs of your confidence, your willpower, your sense of self, and your capacity for love, compassion, and divine connection. When these centers are blocked, everything in your spiritual life begins to feel muted. Your intuition dulls. Your purpose becomes foggy. Your ability to manifest is smothered under an invisible weight. You may feel like you're praying, but nothing is moving. You may sense that you're meant for something, but the clarity never comes. Have you ever felt like the voice of God was silent, even when you were doing everything right? What if it's not that heaven is quiet, but that your channels have been muffled by what you've unknowingly eaten? Scientific and spiritual studies alike have observed profound transformations in the elect, those who have chosen to eliminate meat from suffering animals entirely. In many documented cases, within just 21 days, the energetic blockages in the heart center began to dissolve. For many, this shift was accompanied by unexpected waves of unconditional love, described not just as emotion, but as a full-body awakening. Some reported crying spontaneously, not from sadness, but from an overwhelming feeling of divine connection. For the first time in years, they felt truly seen, truly guided, truly loved. This is not some emotional placebo. It is the direct result of removing trauma-based energy from their diet. One woman described it as a return to the original state of being I had before the world tried to bury me. She had been stuck in spiritual limbo, confused about her path, unsure if her purpose was even real. But when she removed the energies of death and fear from her system, the veil lifted. She started receiving dreams again. Visions came with clarity. Her hands grew warm during prayer. Her manifestations quickened. She didn't gain anything new. She simply reclaimed what had been buried beneath energetic noise. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Psalm 51:10. For you, chosen one, this isn't poetic metaphor, this is literal instruction. A clean heart requires clean fuel, and that fuel cannot come from fear-soaked flesh, no matter how socially acceptable it may be. Let's look at examples of individuals in the public eye who have experienced this kind of awakening. Moby, the acclaimed musician and outspoken vegan, has long testified that removing animal products from his life opened up his ability to create more intuitively and live more compassionately. He often speaks about the profound spiritual transformation that occurred once he stopped consuming pain. Erykah Badu, known not just for her music, but for her energetic presence, also follows a vegan lifestyle rooted in spiritual clarity. She believes the frequency of food directly affects the purity of her aura and the power of her intuition. When asked how she remains so grounded and spiritually aligned, she often points to diet as a non-negotiable pillar of her lifestyle. And then there is Rich Roll, ultra-endurance athlete and spiritual motivator, who speaks about how plant-based eating transformed his sense of divine purpose. His switch away from animal products wasn't just about health. It was about unlocking an inner strength and vision that had been dormant for years. Today, his platform reaches millions with messages of inner alignment, energetic integrity, and holistic power. Therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31. If your body is the temple, your fuel must be consecrated. Not everything that is edible is suitable for the elect. You may still be wondering, but isn't meat just part of life? Didn't people in the Bible eat meat? Yes, they did, but not meat from animals who had been caged, tortured, injected with hormones, and separated from their young. Not meat soaked in fear and slaughtered in silence. The energy of the animal matters. The context matters. The intention behind the consumption matters. In the modern age, meat is no longer about survival. It has become a factory of despair, and the chosen one cannot afford to participate in that cycle, not if they wish to remain clear, attuned, and fully activated. Have you noticed that your dreams become darker, your meditations harder, and your moods heavier after consuming certain foods, even if your mind doesn't know why? That is your spirit speaking. That is your frequency resisting what your habits have normalized. The Bible warns us with subtle precision. It is good not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything that causes your brother to stumble. Romans 14:21. This isn't just about other people. It's about you, chosen one. If what you're eating causes your spirit to stumble, even slightly, it is worth questioning. And if questioning reveals a blockage, it is worth changing. So here's your invitation, chosen soul, not to embrace fear or guilt, but to rise in awareness. To begin observing the energy behind your meals, not just the nutrition label. To ask what spiritual residue may still be affecting you days after the meal is gone. To dare to believe that what enters your body becomes part of your frequency, and that you have the authority to choose what frequency you carry. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5:8. Purity is not perfection, it is alignment, and for the chosen, alignment must extend even to the plate. You do not need to go cold turkey tomorrow, but you must begin to listen, begin to notice, begin to tune in to how your body reacts after every meal. You are not here to fit into the world's patterns. You are here to break them, to transcend them, to become the mirror that reflects God's order in a world of chaos. Chosen one, have you ever noticed that your mind feels foggy after eating a simple piece of bread, that your intuition grows duller, your dreams become vague, or your spiritual senses feel muted? And yet, you can't quite explain why. It's not an allergy, it's not just your digestion, it's something deeper, something hidden, something that affects the very architecture of your spiritual perception, because the next great energetic disruptor targeting the chosen ones is one of the most common and yet most underestimated substances in the modern world: modified grains and gluten. This is one of the best kept spiritual secrets of the modern age. What many don't realize is that the wheat, barley, and rye of today are no longer the sacred, life-giving grains that nourished civilizations for thousands of years. The grains in your pantry have been genetically altered, chemically enhanced, and energetically distorted. And this didn't happen by accident. It wasn't a coincidence. This transformation was intentional, meticulously orchestrated, not just for profit or agriculture, but to target the human mind, especially the spiritual mind, especially yours. The Bible tells us that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, Hosea 4:6. And truly, millions consume these altered grains without knowing the damage being done, not just to their bodies, but to their spirits. You, chosen one, must not remain in ignorance. You are not like the rest. You were born with a sacred sensitivity, a spiritual radar that picks up signals others can't even detect. which is why the foods that others can digest without a problem might leave you feeling spiritually blind. Let's get specific. Among the elect, gluten found in modern grains doesn't just cause physical discomfort. It creates a dense, energetic fog around the third eye and crown chakra. These are the two portals most intimately connected with divine guidance, prophetic insight, and cosmic memory. When these portals are blocked, your spiritual perception becomes distorted. You may still receive messages, but they come through static. You may still hear divine whispers, but they sound faint and far away. Like trying to see through a fogged-up window, your intuition is still there, but no longer clear. And what makes this more dangerous is that you might not even realize the source. Have you ever found yourself questioning your discernment, wondering if your intuition is failing, or doubting your spiritual visions after eating something as innocent as bread or cereal? That confusion is the result of this exact fog. And the longer you consume modern gluten, the thicker the fog becomes. It doesn't hit like a thunderclap. It creeps in gradually, dimming your connection to the divine day by day until you're running on spiritual fumes. Even more alarming is the effect that modern gluten has on one of the most vital organs for the chosen, the pineal gland. Often referred to as the seat of the soul, this gland governs your ability to receive divine signals through dreams, visions, and energetic impressions. Ancient civilizations revered it. The Bible alludes to it when it speaks of the eyes of your understanding being enlightened. Ephesians 1:18. This isn't symbolic, it's anatomical and it's spiritual, because the pineal gland is your built-in divine satellite, your God-given antenna to heaven's broadcasts. Modern gluten, especially the type laced with glyphosate and other chemical additives, appears to interfere directly with the function of this gland. The result? Chosen ones start experiencing spiritual disconnection. Meditations become restless, dreams turn into static, and the profound clarity you once had seems out of reach. You begin to lose the very thing that makes you you. But here's the miraculous part. Chosen ones who have eliminated gluten from their lives, not as a diet trend, but as a spiritual discipline, report something extraordinary. Within weeks, their pineal gland begins to reactivate. The fog lifts. Their dreams return with new colors, symbols, and prophecies. Meditation takes them to new realms, and energies and entities they had only felt before now become visible. They don't become spiritual. They return to their original spiritual frequency. Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Isaiah 58:8. That light is your spiritual clarity, and for many it lies just beyond a gluten-free veil. Let's bring this into modern context. There are individuals across the world, especially those in positions of spiritual influence, who've discovered this for themselves. Miranda Kerr, the international model and wellness entrepreneur, has long attributed her heightened intuition and spiritual connection to her commitment to clean eating and gluten-free living. She believes food affects the vibration of her thoughts and the clarity of her meditations, and credits her intuitive business success to it. Then there's Lewis Howes, former pro-athlete turned motivational teacher, who removed gluten from his diet and reported a spike in mental sharpness, clarity of vision, and creative flow. His spiritual discipline sharpened, his goals became clearer, and the empire he built began accelerating after that change. Another example is India Ari, the soulful songstress and spiritual leader, who also embraced gluten-free and vibration-conscious eating to reclaim her inner clarity. Her music, once grounded in deep emotion, took on a mystical and prophetic tone because her perception expanded. All of them will tell you it wasn't a health decision, it was an energetic one, a return to their original settings, unfiltered, unblocked, and fully aligned. Have you considered what clarity you might recover if you simply let go of what's been clouding your third eye. What messages you might finally hear clearly again if your pineal gland were fully awake. The more you purify, the more you begin to understand the original assignment you carried into this lifetime. You were not sent here just to survive or to chase success by worldly definitions. You were sent here to channel truth, to dismantle illusion, to carry light codes that shift entire environments. But to do that, you need clarity, and clarity requires an uninterrupted signal. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119, 130. If divine instruction is light, then anything that blocks that light is interference. Gluten, in its modern form, is interference. Now, I'm not saying everyone must adopt this path, but you, chosen one, you already know you're different. You already feel things others don't. You already carry visions they cannot explain. So why should your diet look like theirs? This isn't about shame. It's about alignment. It's about choosing the higher path, the narrower path, the path that leads to prophetic precision. Because when the fog clears, you'll not only see more, you'll become more. So I ask you, what dreams have you forgotten because something on your plate rewired your perception? What spiritual assignments have been delayed because of a clouded mind? What divine whispers are still waiting for your full attention? It's time to wake the antenna. It's time to return to the frequency you were born to carry. A frequency that doesn't just bless your life, but calls forth alignment in everyone who meets you. Because your clarity activates others. Your vision unlocks theirs. Let today be the day you test this for yourself. Remove what you've tolerated. Fast not just from food, but from fog. Let your temple breathe. Let your spirit expand. And you will see, not just believe, that you were never disconnected from God. You were simply under the influence of distortion. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Psalm 34:8. But to truly taste, your senses must be unclouded. Your tongue, your spirit, your energy, all aligned. Chosen one, let me ask you something sacred. Have you ever felt a heaviness in your chest that no prayer could shake? A thick emotional weight that seemed to dull your ability to connect with God, even when your heart longed to? You weren't making it up. What you were feeling wasn't weakness. It was interference. And today we must talk about the fourth great spiritual disruptor, conventional dairy products. You were never meant to consume food soaked in suffering and secrecy. And yet, for many of the chosen, dairy has become a silent enemy, attacking not only the physical body, but the energetic architecture designed to keep them aligned with heaven's frequency. What most people don't realize is that dairy in its modern form is not the innocent substance it's marketed to be. It is loaded with synthetic hormones, antibiotic residues, and trauma energy from animals confined and mistreated in systems that have lost all reverence for life. But here's the deeper truth that few dare to speak aloud. Modern dairy creates an energetic mucus layer, a thick etheric sludge that clings to your chakra system like spiritual glue. Those with developed auric vision have seen it. This sticky layer doesn't simply exist within your physical body. It blankets your energy centers, smothering them, muting them, dulling their divine resonance. Your chakras, the sacred gates through which spiritual light flows, become sealed off, like windows painted over in grime. The light still wants to come through, but it can't. And over time, the spiritual stagnation becomes profound. Have you ever experienced this? Praying but feeling like your heart is numb. Meditating but encountering a strange emotional block. Being in a holy space, yet unable to weep, worship, or feel fully present. This is what happens when the chakra system has been covered in what the ancients called energetic mucus. It's not metaphorical, it's vibrational. And one of the most potent sources of this sludge is dairy, especially dairy produced through pain. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Proverbs 4:23. For you, chosen one, guarding your heart isn't just about emotions. It's about maintaining your energetic immune system, the very force field that shields you from manipulation, dark energy, and spiritual exhaustion. The most devastating consequence of dairy consumption, however, strikes at the center of your mission, the thymus gland. Physically located near your heart and spiritually connected to the heart chakra, this gland is not just a biological component. It is the seat of divine connection, the sacred bridge between your physical form and your spiritual essence. When the thymus is active, your body becomes a powerhouse of love, compassion, and healing. Your prayers intensify, your discernment sharpens, your energy becomes magnetic. But when dairy-derived toxins enter the bloodstream, they subtly compromise the function of the thymus, not enough to trigger immediate illness, but enough to dull its spiritual radiance. The result? A weakened energetic immune system, increased vulnerability to psychic attacks, energy vampirism, emotional manipulation, and spiritual fatigue. Your shield begins to crack, not because your spirit is weak, but because your temple has been infiltrated by something that was never meant to enter it. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? Matthew 6:23. What a chilling verse. It reminds us that when the very system we rely on for light becomes blocked, we no longer see clearly. Not the world, not ourselves, not even God's voice. But here's the miracle. When you remove this spiritual blockade, when you let go of conventional dairy and cleanse your system, something holy happens. Chosen ones across the world report a profound awakening of the heart, often so intense it feels like a second birth. The walls fall away, the numbness disappears, the tears come freely, the prayers deepen, and in many cases the hands begin to heat up, literally buzzing with pranic force, ready to heal, to comfort, to anoint. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. Ezekiel 36:26. This verse is not just about salvation, it is about spiritual renewal, a transformation that begins the moment you cleanse the temple. Take the case of Tabitha Brown, the beloved actress and influencer whose joyful, radiant energy has captivated millions. Her journey to spiritual clarity began when she removed animal products, including dairy, from her life. As she did, her heart opened in new ways. She began sharing divine messages, healing encouragement, and nourishing recipes that feed both the body and the soul. Her glow isn't just outer, it is energetic. Then there's Woody Harrelson, a long-time advocate of clean living and plant-based consciousness. He often speaks about the shift in clarity, vitality, and emotional presence he felt after eliminating dairy and other vibrationally heavy foods. His performances deepened. His sense of purpose intensified. His energy field became unmistakable. Finally, consider Stella McCartney, fashion designer and animal rights activist, who has built a global brand centered on compassion and clean living. Her decision to eliminate dairy and promote cruelty-free alternatives was not just a business strategy, it was a soul conviction. She attributes her creativity and alignment to this decision, and her brand carries a vibrational integrity that can be felt. Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from what is dishonorable, he will be a vessel for honorable use, set apart as holy. 2 Timothy 2:21. You, chosen one, are that vessel. You are not here for casual living. You are here for honorable use, to be set apart, filled, and poured out in sacred ways. Now consider this. How many of your spiritual struggles have not been from sin or sabotage, but from substances you consumed without realizing their impact? How many times have you cried out for more power, more clarity, more direction, while unknowingly dulling your own spiritual instrument? You were born to carry divine love, but divine love flows through a clear heart, not a heart congested with energetic toxins, not a thymus weighed down by hormone-laced milk, not a chakra system suffocated in sludge. So here's your divine invitation: cleanse your temple, not out of guilt, not out of fear, but out of sacred alignment, out of hunger for more. Because the moment you say yes to purity, heaven says yes to activation, and your gifts that have been waiting in silence, will rise. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. Deuteronomy 6:5. All your heart, all your strength, not a fragmented, muted, half-asleep version, but a vibrant, radiant, fully awakened heart. The chosen ones who take this step often report instantaneous shifts. Prophetic dreams return, energetic protection strengthens, compassion deepens, and healing energy begins to radiate from their hands like fire. They speak, and people listen. They pray, and the room changes. They walk into spaces, and the atmosphere bends. That is who you are beneath the layers, beneath the dairy, beneath the doubt, beneath the numbness, a vessel of pure divine love. And you don't need to become that version of yourself. You only need to release what never belonged there in the first place. Chosen one, what if I told you that some of the most dangerous foods for your spirit are the ones that look completely normal? What if the most destructive substances to your energy field don't come with warning labels, don't trigger allergies, and don't show up on blood tests, but they silently twist the very frequency of your soul? Welcome to one of the most sinister forms of spiritual sabotage, energetically altered food. This is the fifth major energetic blockage, and it may be the most insidious of all. Because unlike obvious toxins, this enemy wears a mask of normalcy. These foods don't scream danger, they don't smell off or spoil quickly. They sit innocently on grocery store shelves. They pass every chemical test, but they fail where it matters most to the chosen, in the realm of vibration. You already know, chosen one, that all of life is energy. Every thought, every word, every cell carries a frequency. Foods, real foods, once carried the earth's natural resonance. When grown in love, harvested in balance, and eaten in gratitude, they supported your temple in remaining aligned with God. But what happens when that resonance is manipulated? What happens when something designed to nourish becomes something that hinders, without your conscious awareness? Even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14. That's not just about people or spirits, it's about systems. It's about the disguised nature of deception itself. Some of these foods have had their vibrational signatures scrambled. Through subtle technologies, radiation, frequency imprinting, electromagnetic modification, they have been tampered with at the energetic level. To the eye, they're unchanged. But to the spirit, they're poison. These foods may not hurt the average person immediately, but you're not average. You're one of the elect. You were built to carry a high spiritual voltage, to act as a transmitter of divine truth, which means that your system is finely tuned like a sacred harp string. Even a slight distortion in the frequency of what you consume can throw your entire energetic system out of alignment. This isn't paranoia, it's physics, it's vibration, it's spiritual warfare disguised as food innovation. Have you ever done everything right spiritually, prayed, fasted, meditated, but still felt spiritually heavy, disconnected, or unable to manifest anything forward? Could it be that the blockage wasn't in your intention, but in your food's frequency? Here's what's been observed among the chosen. Repeated consumption of these energetically modified foods leads to a rare but devastating condition known as auric polarity inversion. Under normal conditions, the human energy field spins in a clockwise direction. aligned with the Earth's natural current, connected to divine flow. But when auric polarity is inverted, your field spins counterclockwise against the current. Suddenly, everything feels hard. Prayers bounce back, manifestations stall, discernment feels foggy. You feel like you're doing everything right but getting nowhere. That's not your fault. That's energetic sabotage. The Bible warns us to guard against deceptive forces that work in realms we don't always see. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. Some of those principalities operate through food systems, through subtle vibrational distortions, through seemingly harmless processes that rewrite the energetic DNA of what you eat. Let's break this down further. Auric polarity inversion is like trying to swim upstream while carrying someone else's trauma. You push, you pray, you try, but everything resists. Your spirit is fighting to rise, but your frequency is dragging in the opposite direction. You're doing the work, but the results don't come. And then self-doubt enters. Maybe I'm not chosen. Maybe I've lost the anointing. Maybe I'm blocked. The enemy smiles. Because you never stopped being chosen. You were just misaligned by an invisible attack launched through your diet. But once you realign, once you clear the interference, everything shifts. Prophetic clarity returns. Your manifestations pick up momentum. Divine instructions become unmistakable. Your very presence begins to recalibrate the energy of every room you enter. That's the power of returning to vibrational purity. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist. Ephesians 6:14. Part of that truth is understanding that food isn't just physical, it's energetic. And if the enemy can't touch your soul, he'll tamper with your source. He'll manipulate what you put into your body in hopes of distorting what comes out of your spirit. Real-life testimonies reveal this in powerful ways. Take Mayim Bialik, neuroscientist, actress, and outspoken spiritual thinker. She avoids many processed and altered foods, not just for health, but because of how they affect mental clarity and energetic balance. Her deep intuition and presence are no accident. They are rooted in conscious nourishment. Then there's Jason Mraz, musician and advocate for organic living. He speaks openly about how shifting to clean, high-vibration foods helped reignite his creative flow and spiritual grounding. He began growing his own food, feeling more connected to the earth and more inspired in his music and meditation. Also, Serena Williams, though known for athleticism, has quietly practiced energetic self-care through intentional eating. Before major events, she adjusts her food choices to align her body and energy for clarity, strength, and focus. She knows that victory begins long before she steps onto the court. It begins with what she consumes. Have you considered what victories are still waiting for you, delayed only because of subtle spiritual interference caused by something on your plate? Let's be clear, not all food is evil, but some foods have been energetically corrupted, and the systems that produce them do not have your best interest in mind. They are designed for efficiency, profit, and shelf life, not for spiritual alignment. Some of these foods have undergone radiation. Others have been exposed to frequency imprinting technologies. Others still have been hybridized in ways that disrupt their ancient codes. The result? You're not eating what God made. You're eating what man distorted, and you were not made to digest distortion. Woe to those who go down to Egypt for help, but do not look to the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah 31:1. Many turn to food corporations for nourishment instead of turning back to divine wisdom. But you, chosen one, are called to discern, to question, to rise, to remember that your body is not a dumpster for man-made energy, but a throne for divine presence. So, what can you do? Begin by asking your food new questions, not just, is this organic, or is this non-GMO, but what vibration does this carry? How does it feel after I eat it? What happens to my dreams? What happens to my discernment? Does my worship feel dull or alive afterward? If the answers lead you to discomfort, then you've just uncovered a frequency mismatch, and it's time to reclaim your energetic integrity. As you begin to eliminate energetically altered foods, you may notice an initial wave of resistance, cravings, fatigue, mood swings. This is not failure, this is detox. This is your energy field remembering its original rhythm. And once that rhythm is restored, you'll begin to notice what most people never will. You'll see patterns. You'll hear heaven clearly. You'll feel God's presence in your body, not just in church or on mountaintops. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. 3 John 1:2. God does not want you to prosper in soul while your body remains poisoned. Your physical and spiritual health are linked, and your energetic clarity begins with vibrational purity. When your auric field spins correctly, you don't chase blessings, they are magnetized to you. You don't beg for breakthroughs, they naturally align. You don't struggle to be seen, you become a beacon, because the chosen were never meant to strive. They were meant to flow, but flow only happens when your frequency is moving in divine direction. So here's the final question. Are you flowing with God's current, or unknowingly spinning in reverse due to invisible frequencies you ingest daily? The answer is not just in what you feel, it's in what you do next. Choose to eat from the earth, not the lab. Choose to bless your food with prayer, but also with discernment. Choose to honor your calling by honoring your consumption. Your future depends on it. Your mission is waiting on it. Heaven is aligning with it. The restoration of your power, your vision, your voice. It all begins with your frequency. Chosen one, have you ever felt like something was missing, even after your spiritual practices, prayers and fasting? Like you were just inches away from something vast and divine, but a thin veil still remained? What if I told you that veil was never spiritual in nature, but nutritional? What if the last obstacle between you and full-blown activation was hiding in your pantry, on your plate, or in your daily habits? Because here is the revelation that has been hidden from most of the world. When an elect eliminates all 5 categories of spiritually disruptive foods, conventional dairy, energetically altered grains, meat soaked in trauma, artificial additives, and frequency scrambled foods, a complete alchemical transformation begins, and it does not take years. It begins immediately. Your body, once sluggish, awakens. Your mind, once cloudy, sharpens. And your spirit, your precious, powerful, divine spirit, unfolds like wings that were never clipped, only hidden. In this state of restored vibrational integrity, the very veil between dimensions begins to dissolve. No longer is heaven somewhere out there. It is here. It is now. The atmosphere around you changes. The light in the room thickens. And what used to feel like whispers from the spirit realm now becomes crystal clear dialogue with your higher self, your guides, and the beings of light sent to walk with you. Call to me and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. That's not just a verse, it's a promise, and one that becomes fulfilled when your spiritual channel is no longer clouded by interference. Have you ever wondered why, after deep fasting or temporary food shifts, you suddenly received a powerful dream, a prophetic vision, or insight that solved a problem instantly? That was not random. That was a preview of what full alignment looks like. Chosen one, the ancients knew this. They didn't guess or speculate. They lived it. The Egyptians, Essenes, and early mystics practiced dietary ascension. the sages of the East and the desert prophets of the West all shared this hidden thread. Food was a portal or a prison, and they taught this truth only to the elect, those who were spiritually ready. Modern elects who walk this path report manifestation experiences so powerful they border on the miraculous, not because they suddenly gained power, but because the power that was always inside them was finally freed from interference. The Akashic records, once accessible only through deep trance or death-like stillness, swing open like a well-lit library. Answers come before questions are even fully formed. Patterns appear, visions sharpen. And most stunningly of all, spiritual DNA once locked by dietary pollution begins to express itself fully. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. The truth is, your spiritual potential has never been lost. It has only been suppressed by interference, by substance you were told were harmless, by a world not designed for the chosen. One young prophet named Lucia, for years, struggled with depression and what doctors labeled spiritual disassociation. Her dreams felt distant, her prayers felt unanswered, but when she cleansed all 5 vibrational disruptors from her life, within 2 months, she began seeing colors in people's energy fields. She started to speak in languages she never studied. She described in perfect detail events that had not yet occurred. Her family thought it was a phase. Her mentors knew it was her soul returning home. You see, chosen one, your body is not just flesh. It is divinely encoded technology, and that technology is calibrated for higher frequencies. The food you consume is not just fuel, it is data input. It either sharpens the program or corrupts it. It either activates the blueprint or erases the line. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. For the elect, that renewal begins at the cellular level. The foods you eat don't just affect your body, they inform your frequency. Let me ask you this. What would happen if you removed all 5 categories for just 33 days? 1 day for every year Christ walked the earth. Would your vision return? Would your heart burst open with light? Would your healing gifts finally ignite? Real-world figures have walked this path. Sadhguru, Indian mystic and spiritual teacher, has long taught that food carries a pranic value and that certain foods block access to higher states. His own clarity, charisma, and presence reflect decades of energetic alignment with divine nutrition. Venus Williams, though known for physical strength, speaks openly about the mental and spiritual clarity she gains through clean, intentional eating. For her, victory isn't just physical, it's energetic. She tunes her body to align with her goals, knowing that food creates her field. Demi Lovato, once trapped in a cycle of emotional and physical imbalance, has recently stepped into a phase of spiritual clarity and creative rebirth. Her plant-forward, energetically conscious lifestyle has been a major part of her journey toward wholeness, purpose, and divine remembrance. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. That light is in you. It's always been in you. But for it to fully shine, you must clear the lens, remove the shadow, realign the temple. This knowledge, beloved chosen one, has been safeguarded across time, whispered in mystery schools, guarded by monks, passed down by ascended masters, confirmed in your own soul every time you felt that small, quiet knowing. This food doesn't sit right with me. That voice, that was your higher self reminding you, calling you, pleading with you to remember who you are. You are not here to merely eat and survive. You are here to rise, awaken, and transmit, to carry frequencies others cannot hold, to speak revelations others cannot hear, to manifest solutions others cannot conceive. But for that to happen, your body must be a willing vessel, not clogged with worldly input, but open to heavenly outflow. So I ask you, one final time, what version of yourself is still locked behind a veil made of sugar, trauma-laced flesh, gluten distortion, dairy suppression, and vibrational sabotage? What miracle are you still waiting for that is simply waiting for your alignment? You are ready. You've always been ready. You just needed to remember. Let this be your call to sacred nourishment, not as a trend, not as a temporary cleanse, but as a lifelong alignment with heaven. Let your plate become an altar. Let your meals become prayer. Let your body become a cathedral of light. And then, watch as the sky opens, the veil thins, and your soul begins to do what it was always meant to do: rise, reign, and reveal the glory of God in human form. Beloved chosen one, what you've just received is not just information, it is a divine instruction, a holy invitation to reclaim what has always been yours, your spiritual clarity, your divine power, and your energetic sovereignty. What does this revelation truly mean for you? It means that you now hold a clear, direct, and time-tested path to unlocking your sacred potential. You no longer have to wonder why your gifts feel muted, why your spirit feels heavy, or why your visions feel distant. You now know that every single meal is a crossroads, a choice between elevation and stagnation, between divine connection and energetic interference. Your transformation begins now. The moment you begin releasing the spiritual blockages embedded in your diet, your world begins to shift. Your perception expands beyond anything you once thought possible. You walk into a room and feel the energy before a word is spoken. You sense truth and deception without needing facts. You begin to detect the vibration of people, places, and even your food. Your spirit, once muffled, now sings. And your dreams, oh, your dreams, they become doorways. They begin to carry sacred codes, symbols, and divine instructions. What once felt like guesswork now becomes divine precision. Intuition returns, stronger than ever. You receive downloads, not through effort, but through alignment. Not by striving, but by surrendering to purity. As your body grows lighter, your field grows brighter. Your auric shield strengthens. Your voice carries authority. Synchronicities begin to accelerate. License plates, angel numbers, sudden encounters, perfect timing. You no longer chase alignment. It finds you. People are drawn to your light. Conversations shift. Opportunities appear. It feels like heaven is bending reality just to help you walk the path. But most of all, something beautiful happens inside you. The old doubts, the second guessing, the fog, the confusion begin to melt. The voice of your higher self is no longer faint. It's present, powerful, familiar. You begin to remember what you once forgot. You were never disconnected, only blocked. And now, as those blockages fall away, your true identity emerges. You realize the power was always within you. The miracles were always waiting. The frequency of heaven was always broadcasting. You just needed to clear the static. And now that you have, your divine assignment can begin. Fully, clearly, and without hesitation. Before we close this sacred message, I want to take a moment to speak to your heart. Thank you. Truly, from the deepest place in my spirit, thank you for walking with me through this revelation. Thank you for taking your spiritual life seriously, for choosing awareness over comfort, and for opening your heart to truth that the world is still not ready to embrace. You are the reason this message exists. You are the light worker, the bridge builder, the energetic warrior that heaven trusts to carry this vibration into the world. If this message has blessed you and you feel led to sow into this mission, I humbly invite you to leave a super thanks. Your support helps amplify messages like this to more chosen ones across the world. But whether you donate or not, please know this: I'm already deeply grateful for your presence, your spirit, and your attention. You being here is a gift. You being awake is the offering. Now, as you move forward from this moment, may your meals become sacred. May your body become a temple of clean light. May your mind become a vessel of divine intelligence. And may your spirit become so aligned with heaven that every word you speak becomes prophecy and every step you take shifts the atmosphere. May blessings overflow upon you. May clarity flood your soul. And may your divine inheritance be released without delay. Your time is now. You are chosen. And the world is about to see exactly what that means.